What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the DaGamer Podcast. Excuse us on our little brief hiatus. I had to run off and go get married real quick, but I am back with the boys, with the fellas. This is Antonius DaGamer back with
Round of applause for our boy. You beat us to it. You beat us to it, champ. We like to salute you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Feels good. You know, it's a life event checked off the bucket list. It was a
aren't your parents
time.
happy?
I'm sure there was that miniature sigh of relief at the reception, like, okay, he made it.
Yeah, man.
Start looking at my birthday, start looking at the time, like, okay, all right. But I am back. We are back. I'm back with Mikkel Smith, back with Super SSS Rank with another episode of the DaGamer Podcast. Fellas, it's been quite a few things that have taken place since my little hiatus, but a lot of it, fortunately, has kind of been swept underneath the same umbrella. Tim brought up a really great point in the group chat that I think is a really good kickoff point for today's episode, and that is the state of the modern gaming industry. Right, in the past month and a half or so, we've seen a lot of announcements, a lot of things being rolled out, a lot of fiscal reports, a lot of whispers and leaks about pending pro versions of consoles. And what are your guys' thoughts? What are your thoughts on how things are leading with like Nintendo possibly pushing whatever their sequel to the Switch back till 2025? Xbox supposedly working on a handheld. Sony getting ready to launch the PS5 Pro with no PS5 exclusive games. Like, what are our thoughts?
I just feel like we're in a very interesting limbo of life. And we're using a lot they are using a lot of placeholders to keep us occupied. Like, for example, all the PS4, the PS5 upscales, digital upgrades, things of that nature, robot netcode for this, and yeah, certain things, yeah, they're getting quality of life updates and minor upgrades, but I just really do kind of feel they're just placeholders. And now, of course, we're still in the season of cinematic remakes of games that were less than one console cycle away. And yeah, it's very interesting, bro. It's very, very interesting. And it's a double-edged sword because, as a person like myself, who is a full-fledged adult, I don't feel the pressures of like, oh my gosh, what is coming out now that I want to catch up on. But then I'm also at the point of like, well, bro, like I do want to invest into something new, but
Right.
what is there? Like, yeah, you got your casual stuff, you have your Maddens, your sports titles, but to be honest, man, like, certain things have just transitioned out of my game pool now. I don't play military shooters anymore. I just don't. I just lost the entire appeal for them. So yeah, like most of my stuff is like, story based games, fighters, anime inspired games as well. And I'm cool with that because that gives me real great satisfaction. But it's just like, yeah, bro, like, what am I looking forward to?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Bro, what do you think?
I think, man, they're like they've already abandoned ship on this console generation.
You think so?
Absolutely. Why not? It's a sunken submarine, man. It's Mission Impossible, Fallout. When they're discussing, yeah, it's I think they abandoned it because people see now that the consoles can't do a lick of what they say they can do, and it's advertised on the box, right? So now you have this game that for example, Microsoft has this game that they were teasing people with, showing people the process and the new technologies, the face camera. Look how crazy this face is and the realisticness of it, and the motion. Let's go back to motion, guys. The motion of this character moving feels so. You can see the person breathing and sweating, and you get to play it on a Series X.
I'm gonna say all the glorious 30 frames
at
per second.
30 frames per second. And why do you think that's a good idea? Like the games that aren't like Dragon's Dogma got flack and probably didn't get the best score or best outcome as far as sales because of that 30 frames. Now, for me, someone like me, I'm saying, why am I going to go through all this trouble when I can just build me a PC for one hefty price of 1,500, and I don't have to spend that money again for another 10 years? Why not? Why not just go PC where I can play a little bit of everything now? Since everything's going day one for all the consoles anyway now, because prime example, Helldivers was only survived because of the PC market. That helped because the Sony people didn't invest. They just didn't.
True.
They didn't find interest in the game. So now you have these. You have to find. No,
No, he's
it's
right.
proven. It's not.
It
It's
was the
not.
Steam
It's
reviews
not
that
even.
that incentivized the PS5 people. It wasn't the other way around.
Yeah.
Like basically
Oh,
this it
oh,
was
in
this,
that regard. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It wasn't. It wasn't because. And then this has happened several times with several other properties. So now why am I going to waste my money on this console where I have to guess if they're going to actually deliver on what they're promising on the box? Why not just I guarantee and I just put my money where my mouth is and I can fix it myself and I just build a PC? Yeah, okay, I might have to wait. I just might have to attune to a new year. A PC year is not the same thing as console year. I
Right.
might have to just wait. So why waste my time? Why waste my time with a console if none of them could deliver on anything? Especially if my experience now, I have to play the next installment of Grand Theft Auto at 30 frames per second. Why do I have to do that? Why
That's
should I have
actually
to?
That's actually a
You know,
really good point. Like in terms, I didn't think about it in terms of like, one of the things that gravitated us towards consoles is the idea of being able to have it at our fingertips, right? A game you've really been wanting to play, right? Whether it be a Dragon's Dogma or Final Fantasy VII or Under Night, right? It launches on release date. You buy it either digitally or physically. You put it into your system and you play it. But we've had such a console cycle of games being plagued by bugs, being plagued by glitches, being plagued by performance issues, right? We finally got a rollback netcode for fighters and it was glitchy. Like these things that you're supposed to be like, man, I can't wait to have this
jeez.
immediately, right? Where a lot of times, as we've talked about multiple times on this podcast, it's really 3, 4, 6 months later that the game is actually in an actual working state that makes you want to actually play it. And by that time, given the general state of PC, you're already about halfway out of the exclusivity market, right? Most PC versions of a game launch within a year of it releasing. So to your point, Dory, it's true. It's like you're finding less and less incentives as a gamer to be like, let me get this console so I can play this game that may or may not work upon release. And if it does work, it's not going to work in the way that I would like to see it on my TV or how I would like to see it in my hand for a cutting edge piece of technology and hardware.
I mean, we're in a weird position because now, right? Nintendo is also in a pickle because, okay, what happens when a rogue ally is out, performing you? And now people are getting rogue allies and Steam decks. Now the whole handheld situation. Now you got to deal with a PC. Nintendo's not known for, supporting first. I mean, Nintendo's not known for going outbounds to get not outbounds, but like not going the extra mile to get that cutting edge technology. These guys are a
Right.
comfortable company. They'll do A plus B, but now they have to because, in my opinion, I'm like, if I could get a PlayStation game on my Rogue Ally, and I could get an Xbox game and Steam game while I'm on the go, and both of all of my progress goes back to my home consoles. This is a very convenient device for me.
Mm-hmm.
If
You mean to say
it
something?
does, yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Do you guys feel personally that they've just hit their, like, the pinnacle in terms of technology? Do you feel that, like, personally for me, um, it kind of goes back to the debate that we had about Spark and Zero, about
Mm-hmm.
visual fidelity versus actual gameplay. And in terms of consoles, I think that's where they're kind of like in a similar boat. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is all about get this TV, witness these graphics, witness this impactful story. Like, yes, witness it,
Mm-hmm.
but then the actual playing part, it's like I realize things have shifted, man. Things have really, really, really shifted. Um, Yeah, like I personally feel, bro, that they've hit a cap when it comes to like technology. And I do feel like, maybe this is also an opportunity for them to just take a break. Take a break from always trying to, like, in terms of hardware, try to throw the very next thing. I do
Mm-hmm.
feel like, this is a grounds where you can get more intimate with what you released and
Right.
see what are the true boundaries of what you could push. Because I remember, and when you first got Last of Us Part Two for your PS4, bro, you said your thing was making some serious noise.
I didn't know if it was gonna make it.
But
Every
then
time I put
look,
it, I'm like, this might be the day.
Yep.
I
but
was
then
Hell
that
fired
was
yeah.
a that was a clear sign. But then and you had a pro, and that was
No,
a
no, I
clear.
did not have a
Oh,
pro.
you didn't. Oh, you
Yeah,
didn't.
that was a loud reminder that I did not have a pro.
Oh, well, but then that also proved a point where maybe that was the pinnacle of what that system could hold, and I do feel like have we even reached the potential of what these could actually offer?
We
I
haven't.
don't think so.
I think
We haven't.
what these
I'm saying,
consoles that we have.
I
yeah.
don't think we've reached
I
the
mean,
the
as
seat.
far
Oh,
as graphics is concerned, we know they can't do the FPS. That would be the next.
I
That
don't
would be the
even.
next.
Not even in terms of FPS. I think in terms of like you look at, for example, what Insomniac was able to accomplish with Spider-Man 2, right? Where you have such a even though the city itself NPC wise may not be as populated, it's such a densely populated open world that's constantly loading. Like the amount of popping that's in there is very, very, very minute. And it's to the point where I'm like, this should be the standard across the board for all these hub games. I shouldn't see if Spider-Man, I don't know how they did it, but if they can do this, this should be capable on Final Fantasy. This should be capable on Far Cry. Like this should be the new standard. We've gotten past the instant loading. It's been great, right? The SSD is great for instant loading, no load times. But I think we have yet to see, to Tim's point earlier when you first started off, we have all these previous gen minded games, right? We don't know what a true PS5 God of War looks like. We haven't seen it. They've both been PS4 games that have been upscaled to PS5, right? So I think we still have yet to see what these hardware can do in terms of processing power. I think the
from
frame
the
rate
ground
battle,
up, yeah.
yeah, I think the frame rate battle is I don't know, right? I don't know why they can't seem to hit 60. I don't know why they can't do 4K, but I think from the processing power, I don't think we've seen what these current consoles can really do. And to answer Tim's question, in my opinion, I feel like this generation we're mimicking what we went through in the PS3 era. And what I mean by that is, you guys remember that era where everything was like, look what we've been able to do with motion capture. Look at Heavenly Sword, and look at how realistic these graphics look, and look at how non-Uncanny Valley Nathan Drake looks like an Uncharted. He looks like a real person. But the gameplay wise was few and far in between. We had to wait pretty late into those console cycles to get video games that we actually
To
enjoyed
your
playing.
games.
Yeah, they look
Yeah,
good, right? They look
yeah.
great, but the reality of it is that I enjoyed Resistance 3 a lot more than Resistance 1, even though Resistance 1 was very pretty at the time, but it was a very basic alien shooter. Versus when Insomniac really got to get inventive, because at that point graphics were what they were. Now I'm getting guns that I really enjoy using that has an Insomniac flair to it, because it's a game again. It's not just like, wow, look how good those graphics look. Like I was looking at that trailer that you guys have posted in the group chat with the Black Panther and Captain America, and I was like, this is about as realistic as these graphics are going to get. Like I can see this man's pores as he's talking, but this has nothing to do with the gameplay. I didn't see that 1 ounce of like combat. I just saw two actors
That's what I was
looking
saying,
real.
dog. I'm like, don't give us no heavy rain, man.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Don't
But
get.
the Heavy Rain is a PS3, or is that goes to like, my exact point. Like as realistic as you can get on that console, but look at the gameplay. Look at it.
Detroit become human. Don't do it.
Detroit
No,
Become Human, The
to be honest,
Quarry.
the only game that I really feel that is a Sony flagship that I think that pushes like physics is Gran Turismo.
Hmm. Which
Good.
is not good.
Yeah, which isn't good. And then even just the state of what are these other studios doing? Because I'm starting to realize, bro, like a lot of things are getting cut. A lot of games are getting cut, going back to formula, things of that nature. I mean, some of them have been good decisions, like for Ubisoft, for example, when they saw that Sands of Time remake was not it, they said cut it,
Mm-hmm.
start over, use a different style. They used the Metroid,
Like Vania style design.
yeah, and
Quick
it
quick side
worked.
note, y'all two have to play that game. It's amazing. But keep going.
Wow.
It's
and it, and
amazing.
it,
All
and
right.
it, and it, and it
Wow.
worked in their favor. It worked in their
Mm.
favor, but I just kind of feel like games are in a very serious limbo. Even as of now, excuse me, when I log on the PlayStation Store, when I was looking at new releases, a lot of stuff is like, I mean, indies are really in, bro, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something that Sony was promoting in the last console cycle, but I guess they kind of drifted away from it. But yeah, bro, it's just I just see a bunch of indies and remakes that I never thought people would do. Like I've seen like a PS2 Lord of the Rings game, and it says remake or remaster under it. I
Mm.
was like, bro, who ordered this? Who ordered this? Like,
I mean,
yeah, and then the
go-
next game that I would say in terms of physics was the Hogwarts Legacy, bro. That has been on sale for almost every month, every other month. They've just been like promoting this game like crazy.
and Quiet as Kept is one of the best sellers of 2023. They said one of the
Yeah,
best selling games of the year was Hogwarts Legacy.
yeah. So I mean, like I said, I mean, I do feel like it's a mix of both of all of our points. I do feel like they've reached a certain pinnacle that they have to sit down and really figure out, man. Um, and I guess that could just really go into our next topic is just the ecosystem of how releases work, bro.
Mm-hmm.
With most of these conventions are a thing in the past. It's kind of like we could be at work one day and next thing you know that YouTube notification come on and just like here's a showcase out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
With some
just
of the
like
biggest announcements you've seen, just like, whoa, wait, whoa, hold on.
and it's like and I kind of feel like yeah it serves its purpose because people we live in our phones so much so a person would literally just find the time to watch it, but it's just and it will have thousands and millions of views, but it just kind of feels like right like wow like I miss those times where we used to sit down with that anticipation like what are we receiving today. But then the way new information is like yes they're saving money because those big E3 presentations or conference presentation that's a lot of money, and
Mm-hmm.
I've realized companies especially as of now especially with the layoffs and stuff they're just trying to save every potential dollar that they can.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna ask, given to that point, Tim, of what you said about like the announcements and things. I mean, I know for me, obviously, it's a little bit more recent with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But when was the last time you guys were like actually anticipating a game, like that feeling of like I cannot wait until I can have this on my console or in my hands in this console cycle?
I think it was when they were doing the character rollouts for Mortal Kombat 1. I
Okay.
think that was such a good intense build up of how they did it. Like one trailer was Earthrealm people, the next one was Outworld, the next thing was
Mm.
this and that, and it just brought such a good lively anticipation. I mean, yeah, things a little
The rollout and delivery was one and two different things, but
Boy.
two different things, two
Boy.
two different things, and I was like Tekken as well, Tekken as well.
mm,
Yeah, because when Tekken after when they got that gotcha. It was just all right. The rollout was nice. The rollout
hmm.
was nice.
Okay, Dory, what about you?
For
What was the
me,
last time?
for this console cycle
Yeah,
was Elden Ring.
yeah.
Yeah, Elden
The
Ring.
the announcement of Elden Ring or the announcement of the recent Elden Ring DLC?
No, the Elden Ring, the announcement of Elden Ring. That's
Okay.
what that game for me was like. Yo, I can't wait for this game to drop. It's more than necessary because I want to
Mm,
see the next. They said Form Software is doing an open world game and they're working it with George R. R. Martin. Man, like what is that going to be like?
hmm.
And it turned out to be the best thing to ever happen story wise because this lore to me is more interesting than Dark Souls lore. The way
Okay.
everything is coming together. And their lore, the way they handle lore, man, is it's like it remains a game first, then tells you story
Mm,
later.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, and everything tells the story in the Form Software game. Everything tells the story, from the armor, from the name of the families, from the symbols, and the item descriptions, the sword. It's just it's a wonderland for people who are interested in stuff like that, who like to. It rewards you for discovering things.
Gotcha.
So for me, it was Elden Ring, because when I told you I played the game and everybody else was playing it on Xbox Live and we were encountering different things, the game was a multiverse in a way because nobody experienced the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm like, hey, well, I think one of my friends on his playthrough, we're not, mind you, we're only 2 hours into the game. We're 2 hours, 3 hours into the game, and he's like, "Dog, I'm in Bizarro Land." I said, "What are you talking about? The sky is red." I said, "Oh," and I hear nothing but a buzzing sound. I said, "Oh man, where are you?" All he did was open a chest, and he said, "You are being transported to another location." This thing sent him to a location where you have to be 20 or higher in Elden Rings, in Elden Rings power scale. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what happened was Goku. They took Goku to fight Moro from the Saiyan
Oh.
saga. So yeah, man, just have at me. And for me, my discovery, because I was trying to get to a place that you could not get to. It was like the land of it was like reaching not Eni's lobby, but it was getting past the Grand Blue in One
Okay.
Piece terms, if we were to say that. And I said, okay, let me try to get to this place called Limgrave. Not Limgrave, but Landell. So the journey to get there was so rewarding because there was no script. There was these surprises. I ran into a bell hunter. Turns out this guy is hunting the family of the merchants. Right?
So
And he comes at a certain time. So for me, that game was the most anticipated, and Tekken as well, of this console generation. I'm sure
yeah,
there's others, but it won't come to mind right now. But
yeah,
that's
I
pretty
think the
much it.
thing that I took from your breakdown of Elden Ring, I think that's something that's been missing heavily in this console generation, right? Like I think a lot of these bigger blockbuster games end up being innovative in ways that don't matter, right? So like Starfield at some point will be a great game, right? But not on release. And that's part of the problem.
Defeats
Right?
the
At
purpose.
some point this will be a really good game. At
And
some point there'll be a Game of the Year edition of Spider-Man 2 that rounds up all the DLC and unresolved plot lines. And this will be a great game with great side content. Right now, you beat the story and you're putting out the 45th fire in a row, and you're just like, boy, they're lucky swinging is fun. Because if not, I'd have a very different opinion about this game.
Hey,
You
bro,
know,
I
like,
don't. Hey, speaking of Spider-Man, I don't think we're getting DLC stories this round, bro.
yeah, we are, bro. That leak is coming. The when, I don't
Uh,
know, but it's coming.
I mean, I would have thought like we would have had something by now. I mean, they just got the new Game
The new Game
Plus.
Plus 6 months,
Yeah,
almost 6 months later.
yeah, bro. I was like, bro, like things are just dragging.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, it's hard to say how much that timeline got skewed due to the leaks and the hacks. But as far as I know, there's 3 planned DLCs for that game, story DLCs, kind of like with the first Spider-Man. So
I hope
it's a
so.
matter of when, supposedly.
Yeah, because bro, like I mean, they about to release Horizon Zero Dawn Ultimate Edition. They said they done.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Which
should
is
be.
fine. Yeah, which is fine. They
Oh,
did
you guys,
enough in terms of a sequel. I think the problem with Horizon was always the storytelling. It wasn't I think gameplay wise, they did what a sequel was supposed to do, but it was just like the story. I was like, I'm rapidly
who
losing interest.
cares? Who
Rapidly losing
cares?
interest.
Who cares? Who cares? Who cares?
Not only is she a clone, but she has a clone sister who's been on Spaceland, and they're fighting a super virus, and yeah, you know. So
Who care? Who cares? That's what I'm
right,
like. Oh, okay, okay.
right.
So
So I
y'all
think
give M Night Shyamalan a script. Okay, let's do it.
I think just to cap up this particular subtopic, I think that is the problem we're running into is like the anticipation versus the eventual release in this console generation has been a mixed bag. Like I remember, like Jory and I especially, we were hyped for Final Fantasy 16, hype, ready, and then it dropped. And now I'm like,
and then I
Well, they're
dropped it.
also releasing a DLC for that. I saw that
right, and it
recently.
looks cool, right?
But what is it? What does it come to? Does it change the fundamentals of why we have a problem with this game?
Nope, it's another gimmick,
Then then
another
then I
gimmick, another epic boss
then
battle.
this DLC does not help quench my soul.
Yeah,
I wanted it to, but it doesn't. Because I'm
yeah.
saying, hey, you get to fight Leviathan. Does the world expand? Is this an expansion or just DLC? Are you guys going to try to do what you did with 15 for this? Yes or no?
Even 14 is getting an expansion. I saw that the
Yeah.
other day. I was like,
And for me, the Final Fantasy thing, 16 thing, people are like, oh, I don't understand why this game is not. The game is not good at anything. It just is. It doesn't do
Boss battles. I enjoy the
the
boss
boss
battles a
battle.
lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, the boss battles, but that's fine. But at the same time, um, you had so many other games that if you just copied, you would have been seen as if you created the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. You have other games from your own company. Like I'm playing
From
through Rebirth right now. I'm just like the way it's, obviously you could tell there's still some padding there, but just the way that they've done the boss battles where like they've kept the same theme from Remake where like halfway through the battle, the boss will get a new mechanic. Every single boss, it don't matter if it's a giant bird or if it's the Turks. Every single boss gets a mid battle mechanic where you're just like, oh, okay, I got to switch up my tactics right now. That's all 16 needed. That's all it needed. It was like, nope, I'm just gonna get angrier, and the fire Ifrit's gonna burn hotter, and I will just Gurren Lagann my way through every single boss until
oh
we get to the
my
end of the game.
goodness, man. Yeah, I still didn't beat the game, man, because I was like, okay. So for me, y'all telling me the guy from Devil May Cry is on this. Okay. So where's my combos at? Yeah, your combos are locked behind a tailed beast. Like,
Yep.
no, don't
Yep.
do that to me. Tell me Devil May Cry and then lock me in. Devil May Cry combat is because it's so freely expressible. You can chain up anything. So
Not in this
now
game.
why? And now not only that, but I have the same weapon throughout the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same exact weapon. No, I don't do any form of elemental damage. Nothing's rewarding when you battle for real. You
It's
just
just
got your.
visually
It's just
pleasing. Yeah.
visually, and the score. I'm so mad that the score is so fire because it's like, yo, it pulls you into the game. I'm like, man, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm playing the demo. I said, man, this game gonna be A1. Then you get it first, and you're like, well, I say, wait, well, so what? Hey, no, well, please. Well, I like, oh nah,
Yeah.
just go on YouTube. There you go. There you go. I was like, man, I spent $80 on this, man.
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, I bought this day one, and for what? For
For what?
what?
This not no day one buy, man.
I could have waited. It thing broke my PS5. For
Uh,
what?
oh my, yeah, that did happen.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
broke my
goodness, man.
PS5. So my question for y'all, as we're getting into our next topic, seeing how especially Sony and Microsoft have announced over and over again that we're at the halfway point, probably a little bit more than the halfway point on these console cycles. If this generation goes down as like the remake remaster generation, are you guys okay with that? Or how do you feel,
no,
given that we came from the Polygon era, the 16-bit era?
no.
Mm,
If that's the case, then I will be very, very, very like. Remember back in the day in high school when you influenced my mind about which games to buy in terms
yeah.
of like what does it really offer? That's how I would be, bro. Like I would just like, why am I investing in you anymore? Because I feel like that one might be the turning point where I just might just accept my adult life
Mm,
and just move on from that and just keep whatever system that I have as a Blu-ray player because it's still one of the best Blu-ray players on the market. But it's just like What is it? Because you turned these consoles into home entertainment systems for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that's the only thing that they're lasting for is just like, oh, it's just a box with all your apps on it.
And that's even if it does, right? Like we have yet to get like a real quality of life PS5 like home entertainment update this console generation. I can still technically do more on my PS4 than I can on my PS5 when it comes to like the hub, and that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So I
These
mean, it's a very pinnacle spot for me, man. So I'm just very, very cautious. Like, I was really looking forward to this system. COVID was a very interesting time period. There are certain games that they're still holding my liking, but it's just like, okay, I would say probably 3 years from now, where do I stand with this?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe they abandoned this console generation. Not only that, but because of the rumors that you hear, like, hey, we're considering going third party. Third party isn't so bad, guys, right? Does that tell you? You know what I'm saying? Does that tell you that they want to make a console anymore? No, they just want to be software now. I mean,
But
they
even if that was the argument, right? Let's say they want to be software. Where is the software, right? That's the other part of like, okay, you want to ease back on the hardware aspect. You're kind of pulling back the reins, right? We're probably going to get an Xbox handheld, which is what we would want, right? But it's just like, but what software will support this? What game am I playing on my Xbox handheld? Gears of War 3 remastered? Like what am I playing on this? What's the
yeah.
new IP I'm looking forward
See,
to?
see now this proves this. There's two things that this proves that um both both companies they need their consoles. As
Yes.
much as they try to get away from it or try, but they need their consoles because Xbox Game Pass doesn't work without a console.
Mm.
Why should I even invest in Game Pass if I could get it on Steam?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my library's not gonna go. Mm, I guess I'll just have to be okay with not. I'll just play. I'll just keep my Xbox here and all the 360 games, and I'll just go buy those 360 games right now if I ever want to play that game again.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just proven to you, and then not only that, but emulators are not. An emulator is not breaking the law because you're not charging anybody for it. Now, if you do that, then
Right.
it's breaking the law. But if I make an emulator, that's it on my PC. Oh, what? Just pop an Xbox game, Jordan, and play this game for free.
Right.
So I think the consoles, and if anything, the console generation proved that they need their consoles because Game Pass doesn't work without a console. You need a station for that ecosystem to even thrive. So now it's going back to formula. Games.
But where are they?
Games.
What are they?
No,
Right? It's
well,
like,
what? No, yeah. Where are they now? When they
yeah.
figure that out, because other companies have figured it out. So let's look at Baldur's Gate, for example. That man said, "Hey, I gave y'all what y'all wanted. I'm done." He's
Mm.
not dealing with that nonsense anymore. So there's something in the industry to where who's ever funding the money, who's ever stifling the creativity, they need to make up their minds and get out the way because if they don't, these people are no longer best for the company. So you're gonna have to find other ways and other means of making this money back up. Because now, back to Tim's point, these indie games don't have any no governing agency to tell them, hey, no,
Mm-mm.
don't make it this way. No, we're gonna make a game look like a pixelated Duke Nukem 3D. Who's gonna stop me? And guess
Right.
what? I could sell it on Steam. I could sell it. I'll go to Epic second, and then you guys will have to make up your minds if you want to accept me on your platform or not. But I'm winning. It'll help
Mm-hmm.
you if you guys have more access to me. So a lot of what's going on, Phil's plans are, man, the timing is just backfiring in his face, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not his. I don't personally blame him. Kind of like I personally felt that they should have never gotten rid of the Vita. They should have just never made it that difficult to have the media's cross change. You got the small disc for what? What are you doing?
Sony being Sony.
What are you doing?
Always.
Well, we
Sony
got
being
these
Sony.
small discs that are, we believe we can force. No, do you see people interested in the Apple lightning port? No, we want USB-C. As
Mm-hmm.
soon as the tagline is up on this phone, I'm going to USB-C immediately. Those things are finicky. They destroy your phone, and then if the port doesn't work, now you can't even charge your phone correctly.
Right.
You get what I'm
Can't
saying?
ask a
So
friend to borrow like a
you
random
can't.
cord they have laying around because it just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now with these, it's proven to us like, yo, y'all need y'all games. Just like what we're seeing with Nintendo. Nintendo needs to drop a console, but they need to drop a console with more power. They can't play these games. You see now these companies, I'm telling you, they're not as powerful as you believe that they are. Or as they themselves are coming to that knowledge that we're not as strong as we thought we were.
Mm-hmm.
Because look at one small thing and you disrupt an ecosystem. Nintendo's online period. And Nintendo's their worst enemy because you had the greatest game of all time, fantasy game of all time, no tournament scene.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is with Nintendo is their biggest issue is that they have really good first party IPs, but they're afraid to
First party
really
loyalty.
that too. But I think they're afraid
Blind
to.
loyalty at that. Blind loyalty.
I think they're afraid to have another Wii U disaster. I think that's what it is.
Wii U disaster in what terms though?
Because think about it, right? Nintendo, for all intents and purposes, again, this is during like the PS3 era, right? Where graphics is king. And look at this motion capture. Drops the Wii. And now we're playing it. Our parents are playing it. Cousins, nephews, right? Someone's doing Wii Fit. We playing Super Smash. Someone else is playing Mario Sonic Olympics at the family gathering, right? Everyone, you're playing Rock Band with the actual guitar controller. And you have all that momentum, and the graphics are nowhere near what's on
PS2
on PlayStation Xbox at the
graphics.
time. Right, PS2 graphics at best, and then you drop the Wii U, and it flatlines immediately.
I could have told you that.
No, but that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like, I think that's what Nintendo is at right now, where it's like they're afraid to kind of get into the hardware market like that because they don't want. The Switch has done so well for them that I think they're afraid of, like, what if we do another Wii U? What if we had things were going up and up and up and up with Wii, and we've been doing damage control for the Wii U for at least the first 3 years of the Switch, and now we're turning profit. Like Tim said, blind loyalty.
Make the Switch
Games
again,
that don't even make
better.
sense are flying off the shelves.
You know,
for Nintendo.
The thing is with that, you take what is useful, discard the rest. What's useful? The Switch format. Okay. Now, if it's on dock, you get Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5 Pro quality games. If it's off dock, you get 1080p. But guess what? It's a guaranteed 60 frames for every game. That's a great trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrific trade-off. You think people aren't going to spend their money on a slightly more priced Nintendo?
It's not that I don't think that. I think that's where the fair is, right?
Now fix the interface.
In our console market discussion, I think that's where the fair is of like you have two companies, like you said, that are realizing they don't have as much power as they thought they did. And then you have another company who's afraid to step into the modern day era. Right. So it's like who's the one that kind of gets there first if like all Sony and Xbox want to do is talk about hardware. All Nintendo wants to do is talk about games, but at some point it's like we have to kind of get back to whatever we had during the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era, bro. Like I don't know. It was like just a magical mashing of innovation and
well, it
IPs
wasn't as political, guys. Let's be real. You can kind of pretty much make everything you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very super political at that moment, bro. Because I think at that time, bro, the only thing that had like console exclusivity back in the day that, from what I could really remember, was Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur 2, Link for the GameCube version, Spawn for the XCube version, Hey Hachi for the PlayStation version. But then after, like from the PlayStation 3 era until the more, everything like no. Street Fighter 5 is a PlayStation 4 and PSC exclusive, and Raze Raze Ra. It's just like, yeah, things have changed so much, man, in terms of the way they view the actual dollar. And they've become so obsessed with the dollar that they forgot their customers, man. Because I was really like looking, bro, like, yeah, bro, the PlayStation 2 era had RPGs and so many other titles that it was a place for everybody. Now this market has become so saturated with certain things that everybody just copying each other. Like, when Dark Souls came out, bro, like, look how many sold copies games that we've had. Copies and remakes.
Yeah, even what the Stellar Blade demo, everyone's disappointed because it's like, oh, it's more Dark Souls than this Bayonetta. It's like, we don't need another Dark Souls light.
We don't need any. That's why I couldn't get into Fallen Order, because it just turned into arena battles. Stay in this circle and defeat this frog with 3 eyes. Kill this camel, kill this camel with the hoof in this circle area. Fight this Jedi. Yes, a Jedi in this circle. I'm like, yo, do you know how fast I beat homie? The final boss with his gun saber, I destroyed him. That wasn't even.
well, to their point, they didn't want another Force wrecking ball like Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
No, but
okay,
but the thing, that's fine, right? That's fine. But then you had Jedi Academy. If anything, you guys should have stolen from For Honor. Their fighting system would have made more sense for a Star Wars game.
I just think there's a happy balance that we're starting to lose with some of these games where, one of the things, like, to you guys' point about things being political, right? It's like, you think about us as kids, whereas like a Jedi seemed like an all powerful being, right? Like, there's a reason why, like, why else would you be afraid with your armies of one Darth Vader? There has to be a reason, right? It has to be what he's able to do with the Force. So to both y'all points, is like, yeah, you don't want like a one-sided wrecking ball, but like, there's a reason why these people get called and turn the tides of any battle that they're called in. You need that Cartoon Network Mace Windu. You need it. That's what incentivizes this game of like, bro, I should be able to tear apart this entire throne room with my bare hands. Otherwise, what's the point? If one of the most difficult boss battles you have in this game, like you said, Jory, is this 3-eyed frog, why am I a Jedi? Just give me a gun at this point.
Just give me a gun.
I'll have the
and
same
that's
odds.
Exactly how I beat homie.
I'll have the same odds.
And you know what's a tragedy? The fact that like, yeah, we, to your point, there's no creativity. Games weren't as political. Like, who would have thought that we would have ever gotten a Super Smash Brothers at that time? The commercial just happened. Yo, so you're getting all these Nintendo characters in a fighting game, but it's not going to be like the fighting games you expect it to be. It's going to be very different. Boom.
Yep.
Low entry point, high, high expertise, high professionality. Not professionality, but
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
The skill level is very high.
Skill level very high. So now you have all these things. There's certain games that should not have failed these console generations, man. Like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, flatline.
You mean Marvel Cinematic Universe,
right?
That's
versus
what it was.
Capcom.
No, but you see exactly why. Why are you giving us 7 versions of gun shooters? But no, it just doesn't dawn. So to me, it's not nonsensical decisions being made. It's people being forced to make these nonsensical decisions.
Yeah, bro. The moment that I saw from that trailer that there was no X-Men characters, I said,
I'll pass. Yeah.
I'll pass. And then, oh yeah, the gimmick is the Infinity Stones. Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
And it was that factor that they revived Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Yeah, it has no rollback netcode, but it's still a game people play, bro.
Yeah.
It's still a game people play. Even in terms of Third Strike Online Edition, bro, people are still playing that, bro. It's just like certain things have just that, like, to be honest, the 2 biggest gems I would say as of recently was Streets of Rage 4 and Ninja Turtles on Shredder's Revenge, bro. Like, those are gems. Like it brought you back to that old school style, but in a very good way, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like how they handled them was very great. You know, one big DLC update, quality of life, you know, polish, and that was great. It's
Costumes,
just
new moves, things like just the things that you want in a game with
yeah,
gameplay.
it's a game. It's just like, you know, as of lately, bro, there's so many things have shifted because of the politics, man. You know, politics and just, you know, overall just laziness and, you know, just even like internal issues at the companies, bro. Like, you know, we've
Hmm.
seen it for now. Like, you know, we were so hyped about the big three return, but only one is actually thriving. Street Fighter is in a very interesting place where they're just basically trying to bank off Akuma,
Yeah.
which they're selling us again.
Yeah.
That to me, how do you have a multi-million-dollar company and that's your best solution? No, that means there's something very, very wrong here, man. Very,
But I
very
guess
wrong here.
I think the thing with that though, right, is that if we're looking at, and we can kind of get into it because that was one of our topics, is like I think Capcom is playing chess. Is playing chess right now, right? I think they know that their fighting game division was lacking for some time,
There was no
and
story. There was no real.
you're right, right. But they're playing chess. They wanted to see if they can still kind of get themselves back in the big three conversation, because especially after Street Fighter V, there are whispers of like, hey, should it be Capcom, NRS, and Bandai Namco, or should it really be Bandai Namco, NRS, and Arc System Works? Right, that's how bad Street Fighter was. Street Fighter
I
Five was,
mean,
and I
Arc
think
System Works
they're
is
right. They're a different. They're a whole. Yeah,
they
they
different,
shot
man.
themselves in the foot. They're platinum games of the fighting game industry right now. Of like, you have all the tools. Why aren't you executing? You know, but I think Capcom is trying to be a little more strategic. Of like, okay, let's try to get ourselves at least back in the conversation, fighting game wise, because everything else that they're doing, they're succeeding. Right? Like we're not. I don't think people are talking about how well Capcom has done this console cycle. They've launched critically received Resident Evil 2 remake. 3, Resident Evil 4, critically received. Monster
Very
Hunter,
good.
critically received. Right? And I
That's
know,
what
Jory, you
started it.
right.
That's what
And I know,
started
Jory, you
it.
about to tear into Dragon's Dogma, but for the most part, people enjoy it. Right? So I
Yeah.
think Capcom has
Once
slowly
I
been
remove the Genjutsu,
I
once I
think
take
Capcom
yeah, once
I
I
think
take about the
Capcom has
infinite
slowly put the
Tsutsumi,
Capcom is like slowly putting the little blocks together, and we'll see, right? Like I think we're all on the same page. I don't think their rollout for Street Fighter 6 is the best, but they've also been helped by the fact that NRS has tripped over their own 2 feet. Tekken has tripped over its own 2 feet a little bit, right? I think if Mortal Kombat 1 had been the knockout that we all thought it was going to be, this Street Fighter 6 conversation goes completely differently. Completely differently. But because Mortal Kombat 1 is struggling, because Tekken 8 DLC wise is looking a little they've gotten a little bit more grace from the gaming community, as far as like, well, Street Fighter 6, even its
Actually,
base was
bro,
still solid.
to be honest, bro, a lot of DLC is gone. It's very interesting now because I was looking at even Under Nights because they released their DLC roadmap, and it's like, bro, like each character is almost like months apart. Where like the third character is not being released till next year, so we're only getting two new characters this year.
That's horrible.
It's like, bro, they're taking season passes and they're going by the actual title, season.
That's
Um,
horrible.
and it's like, wow, bro. Because I mean, I'm even thinking about like our Evo. You know, Evo is coming back strong this year. I'm just thinking about all the announcements. Yeah, because you know, by that time, Akuma should be out already. So, will we get a Capcom season two announcement? And what would that announcement be? Because you know, there's been leaks that they just basically bringing Shadowloo back. But then my thing about it is like if that leak was true, then that just defeats the whole purpose of killing Bison off,
Mm-hmm.
and I told you they have to bring back Bison. They
bro,
have to.
They don't
bro,
have to, but they feel like they
Oh
have
bro,
no
to.
no, they have to
bro.
because for me like you're gonna bring back Akuma. we get to see Akuma and these new Street
But
Fighter
then the thing about but
renditions.
then the thing about it is, bro, Akuma has always been just
Gil,
that bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Gil's coming back.
He's just always there. He's
Right.
just always
Akuma
there.
never drives the story. Never.
Gil's coming back.
Well, Gil is technically dead.
Oh,
Well,
he's coming. He's
no,
coming back, bro.
he's a Orochimaru. He's in a
He's coming back.
Orochimaru state.
He's
Unless
coming
somebody
back.
brings him back, he's not coming back.
He's coming back. He's coming back. Like to in all honesty, Street Fighter, they don't even know what they're doing with their own storyline. That's why I said they should have just rebooted it. Cause you give yourself time to think, time to breathe, because you don't know where your story's going, and
What
these new.
I thought they should have did was, and all right, so since technically Street Fighter Five is right before three, what they should have did was redid three, in my opinion. Retcon the originals and redo it in a way that makes it cohesive to the story. And that way, that could be the era where you could just say, "All right, we did it right this time.
Right.
Let's move past it."
And include
Because
all
now
the Street Fighter 4 inclusions of characters. I agree.
yeah, because like I just feel like they really don't know where to go. Because like, bro, the villain was just Shadowloo's accountant who knows psycho power. Like that's really where we are. And then of course, like Mortal Kombat, they've rebooted this universe so many times. Like yeah, like Liu Kang's world is interesting in certain parts. I'll give it that. But then now it's just
It was.
you know due to the microtransactions of things and a little the last 10% of the story is just like things have just went super left. And even Tekken's rollout now, like I hope it's for the best. I really do. I was a bit concerned, like, all right, well, bro, you selling this Eddie Gordo, bro.
I think.
And
I
it
think
was
for
such a
Tekken.
redesign that if you didn't tell me the name that was Eddie Gordo, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, me neither, man. Jeez.
I wouldn't believe you.
yeah, that's wild, man. But I think Tekken's gonna make a comeback. The people are
Oh, by
very
the way, did
vocal.
you saw they gave us one of his classic costumes
Which
with
one?
the actual dreads for Eddie?
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
With the leopard print, right?
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's his best design.
Okay.
yeah.
That is his design. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
when
that's
they're like,
his
yeah, that's
best
Eddie Gordo,
design.
I'm like, who is this? Who is this man? Like,
Yeah. I mean, my favorite Kazuya is the one from 6 with the military
The
purple fatigue,
purple
the
military.
purple
Yeah.
military feet. That's the greatest Kazuya. I said, this is Tekken right here. And it's heartbreaking. Well, it's not heartbreaking. To see Tekken is gonna survive. I just don't think they should have did this mass rollout before Evo, because now nobody knows what anybody could do.
that's fair. But I mean, do you think maybe it was like they're trying to kind of reset the playing field before Evo, where it's like to make things a little bit more interesting?
I mean, it was already interesting. You just needed to tweak individuals. You just need to tweak individuals, not
I
like
mean, well, bro, we got like a couple of months, bro. I do feel like there is going to be another balance update
yeah,
soon.
because there's like there's this whole thing going on with the stages not being able to it's harder to break now. And I was like, well, that's what made the game fire. Like people, I like how Tekken handles that. Dead or Alive is on another level. Tekken handles it better than that game, and I didn't have a problem with that. So I was like, okay, let me get my ground and pound, boom, break the floor, get introduced to another combo. If you're saying momentum is the focus of this Tekken, then let it be that. Find a way to do everything, balance wise. I think that's what helps this fighting game and a lot of other fighting games is that it's not the footsies anymore. It's Tekken is fun to watch.
Yeah, because the mix-ups are crazy. You don't know
The
who's
mix-ups
gonna
are
be able to do
crazy,
what.
and then not only that, but you can get away with stuff in Tekken from attacks that you couldn't get away from in other games. But it all depends on how well you move your thumbstick, And once you do that, there's attacks that you were like, yo, this attack is pointless. It's not pointless if this person is right there next to you. Now that's when you use this attack.
Or even just the small details. Like I played it for just a little bit, and just the fact that, like, say, typically when someone's prone on the ground, it's like that's their invincibility frame, right? Like, you can't really hit them. You gotta wait for them to get up. Now Tekken has a mechanic. If you're running and dashing, you could stomp on them as you're running past them. You can continue to damage them on the ground. Like, yo, you can't just lay there. You got to get up. You got, like, ain't nothing safe. Nowhere safe. Like, I'm like, I appreciate mechanics like that.
And like I told y'all, bro, and I guess this will go back to our book of predictions. Virtua Fighter is gonna make a comeback when we least expect it, bro. Because I knew for a fact releasing Tekken first, they are just watching, bro. Because when you look at it on especially on that particular playing field, Virtua Fighter and Tekken back in the day, like yes, everybody had his own fan base, but like, bro, it is like they're gonna make a serious comeback, bro.
Okay.
I mean,
The
Sega
only
wants to
way I
play,
see that
so
happens, the character design is hog wash. If they don't get that right, I'm gonna be playing. What's that new game? Mark of Wolves, Rebirth, whatever.
no,
SNK. I'll
I,
be there. I'll be there for that.
I know what you're saying. It's
Yeah,
true.
because
It's like it's
they're
the most generic avatar of a character type ever with Virtua Fighter. There's a lot of
the
them,
main
but
character.
it's
Did you
like,
see the main character? Ryu.
yeah, Ryu Light, Ryu Kazuya, no, Ryu Jin Light, wrestler character, boxer character. Like it's all avatars. So Jory's right. The character redesign is gonna have to be on another level.
It's man, and not
I
to
mean,
mention like
my favorite
yeah.
character was the guy who always looks like Mercenary Tao from Dragon Ball. That was always my favorite character.
Wizened assassin. Like this, they don't even have names anymore. They're just
Yeah, like they're just
fighting character types.
I mean, that's what made me never pick up this game. I'm saying, okay, I'm never picking up this game. Virtual Fighter, I don't care.
Beautiful
I
stages
enjoy it.
though. Beautiful
Yeah, I enjoy
stages.
it. It's grounded. It's a
At least,
grounded
at
fighter.
least,
It's just
at least that's a game that you're gonna get stages.
yeah,
Yeah, and yeah,
yeah.
for real, that's true.
That's not night and day.
Yeah, that's whack.
All right. So before we get into our anime topic, Jory, tell us about Dragon's Dogma 2 and why
Oh man,
the
cue the
masses are
ether
wrong.
beat. Cue the ether beat, man.
Tell us
All
why
right.
the masses are wrong, because everybody seems to be enjoying
Okay.
it, but you.
Let me ask you. I'm enjoying it, right? But you're telling me I'm playing an open world game, right?
Quotation marks.
It's open, right?
Mhm.
I mean, meaning I can see the scenery and how vast it is. But guess what? I can't traverse. There's a pathway and it's super claustrophobic. Couple of trees here. I can scale a griffin and hang on, but I can't climb this wall right here.
Okay.
You mean to tell me if I fall in water, I can't swim? I get taken by this beast that takes everybody and brings them back to shore? That's a pretty lazy mechanic. Okay, let's write it into the story. Fine, I'll give you grace there. There's no horses to be found in an open world game.
Again, that already doesn't let you fast travel or restricts fast travel.
So now this is not a Dragon's Dogma 2 game. It's a Dragon's Dogma remake. It's a remake. Added with new mechanics in there. It's a RE remake. And
but is that a bad thing?
For what is out there now, yeah.
Because I could argue that like some of those complaints that you have is it's the same thing that I've encountered with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? Where it's like in fights, Cloud can jump 15 feet in the air. He can swing his sword strong enough to literally cut through the air, right? Send flying slashes. But when I'm on a mountainside, I have to walk up this predestined path, otherwise he can't jump up. And I get it, he has less than physically capable members in his party. But I'm like, but they're also doing superhuman feats in the combat system of the same game in the cutscenes.
No. See, that's them not thinking through. So I would penalize them just as much because I'm like, yo, this is the Cloud that's established to me in my mind where he's supposed to reach is Advent Children Cloud.
It's Advent Children. Yep.
So I'm like, for me, when it gets to that level, we're not. You think I care about Cloud's Buster Sword now? I have no interest in that blade. I want that cycle. I want that 15 swords in one.
The fusion sword, yeah.
That's what I'm waiting for. You think I care about this Buster Sword that everybody's going crazy about? I'm on a different path, y'all. Boy, I'm in a different realm, kid. I'm with Aerith, not to spoil the game. You feel me? I'm with Aerith from wherever she at. You feel me? Like, no, I'm not with y'all. Y'all weird to me. The reason why I have a problem with Dragon's Dogma 2, like, yes, the way missions goes about is fresh and the consequences, man, if you don't save this boy before the wolves get him, he's gonna actually die, and you can't repeat this quest again. There are quests that you will go about and never get. My gosh, it's wonderful. I'm like, yo, but this is an open world game. This does not show me the evolution of the game the way I would expect it to be. You guys are the Dragon's Dogma team, and you guys worked with the Monster Hunter team, and y'all couldn't do biomes just as interesting.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And
I got you.
You know, like you couldn't do biomes just as interesting. I don't understand why is this game still 30 frames per second. Mind you, I'm fighting monsters in Monster Hunter, and you have a whole bunch of ecosystems going around, and that game runs at a decent. Now it runs at 60 frames. But for with Dragon's Dogma, it's just, to me, it's just lazy design, and I have a problem with that because this is the second time that Etsuno has done something like this. Devil May Cry 5. There's only one sequence in the beginning of the game when you play with Nero that's the only boss fight that carries out that way. No other boss fight imitates any of that mechanic to where you're destroying the stages and going about. Because once you get to a certain path, it's just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Nothing's interesting about, you know.
Do you think, like, and this from the outside looking in, and I don't know, Tim, if you have the same opinion on it. I think from what I've gathered, right, just watching and seeing opinions on it, I think the director was trying to, you know, whether he succeeded or not is a different story, but I think he was trying to be the quote unquote first in this generation cycle of creating a dense open world as opposed to a by the numbers, for lack of a better term, open world. Like you said, we're like, I'm on this path, and now there's a griffin just flew overhead, right? That doesn't happen in your typical open world game, right? I haven't had that experience in Final Fantasy VII, despite them having different biomes, right? Of like, most of these events are still relatively still scripted in this open world environment. Whereas like Dragon's Dogma, it seems like you have that freedom of like, it's not quite Elden Ring level of diversity, but there's the game is kind of driving what's happening, and that's why I've removed some of these other mechanics.
That's fine, but if a griffin passes over my head and I'm in a valley, that's not interesting, man. It's just not. If a griffin passes over my head and this rock and this ledge that I can't scale for whatever reason because it's on a 2-degree slant and I slide off, what are we doing? Versus me, and I'm able to climb a dragon. I can climb a troll. I could climb a wildebeest. I could climb a cyclops and hang on for dear life while it's raining. But and a griffin while it's flying to its perch. But I can't scale I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. There's mechanics that happen in Monster Hunter where I could run on the wall, jump off the wall, and attack. I'm not asking for it to be Assassin's Creed, but like let's use some wisdom here. Like, why not be consistent throughout? It would just help the game easy, right? All these mass mountains that I can see. If it's gonna be this dense and you don't have provided, there's no horses in this world. That's not wild to you, and nothing is a smooth. Nothing's smooth terrain in this place. There's not like an open valley or peak. Like, well, what if it's empty? I'm like, no, listen, guys. They had it dense enough to where you have your own wildlife going on in ecosystem. But at the same time, it's too cramped. There's little I can do in certain situations. It doesn't aid the griffin being able to fly You know what I'm saying? Number one, I can't even swim, so I have to take a bridge to fight this griffin or this dragon on this small pathway. And then me walking again further down, it's gonna narrow again, gonna get uneven. I'm gonna go up this slope again to go up to this other part, then come back down. It's just, I get it, but it's like if you're doing that for a dungeon, that makes sense. But like when you say open world, this is the perfect game to have an open valley, an actual forest.
Right.
And it just doesn't have that. It's like we're cliffside the game, cliffside open world the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, to me, it's not a true open world, and that's what frustrates me about Dragon's Dogma 2. A lot of people, they're not aware of it, but once they do get aware of it, there's no horses in this game, and we're in 2024, man.
Yeah, again, that's something like that was really my question. Like, is it more so because you're just frustrated with the lack of, like, I would say, like, quality of life standards we come to expect in the game? I think that's probably the best way to put it. Because, like, I look, for example, like we spoke about this on the pod before, like even playing the demo for Forspoken. I'm like, Forspoken, the traversal in that game is very, very underrated. You could run up that cliff. You could walk up that cliff. You could run up that cliff wall. Like the ways you can.
The magic was good too.
Mm-hmm. The things that you can do, like you said, even in the combat, it allows for, like, I felt like I was in a world, like, for real. There was just nothing to do. That was kind of what it came down to. But in terms of, like, open world innovation, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I can really run up this cliff. Wow. All right.
Like, to be honest with you, let's take Breath of the Wild, for example. Now imagine you have Breath of the Wild as a base with the live ecosystem happening of Dragon's Dogma's intentions.
Mm-hmm.
You win. You win. You win. You win. You know what I'm saying? You win.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. It's done. It's done. That level of AI interacting with you as you traverse the world, a world like that, then you win. My thing is, it's like, people are, it's better than Elden Ring. It can't be better than Elden Ring. You don't even have a horse. It flourishes in certain aspects, but it's like, my boy, y'all can't even swim. Yeah, you can't swim in Elden Ring either. You're right. Up until you can. And then what do you guys do? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just certain things to me, man. I think it hurts the game. The 30 frames, for it not even being 60 frames, and you can't even ride on a horseback. Like, you had The Witcher. You guys say you look up to The Witcher and Elder Scrolls, and I see some aspects of it, but it's like you guys take the worst parts of those games
as your template. Yeah.
As your template, and then, this is American way. No, man. This is not what we want. I don't play Elder Scrolls because of that, or any Blizzard game because of that. You think I was gonna get Starfield? No, I was not, because I already know what type of the games these guys release. Jank, and I gotta wait 2 years before the game's actually complete.
Yeah,
it's for the experience. I'm like, no, it's for the experience, man. I'm not playing it, dog. I'm waiting for my quadruple A battery game that's gonna break my Xbox at 60 frames per second, 4K. That's what I'm looking to play, or something that could give me something close to it. But I want my frame rate. Now, since I want my frame rate, you think I'm gonna leave it up to these consoles to sell me another bot system? No, I'm just gonna go PC. I don't have to complain anymore.
I mean, I think we're kind of getting to that point of, like, you got to start drawing your line in the sand. And, for time, we are going to move on. Although I do want to reapproach this topic at some point. I do think, despite your protest story in the group chat, I do think the question of how long do you guys see yourself gaming for is prevalent, given what's going on in this industry right now. Of, like, Tim even said it himself. Like, there's a point in time where he's like, I might just keep my PS5 and call it a day. You're talking about going PC. For me, I'm like, I'm on the road, at least at this point in my life, so much. I'm like, I need something handheld, and not remote play handheld, where I can boot up my library or pop a disc into something that I can take in my hands as I'm on a plane somewhere. I can't just be sitting with my little, desktop tower consoles anymore. But again, we'll kind of approach that later. But I think some of these things, to me, even with your Dragon's Dogma breakdown, like, that's kind of where we seem to be heading, where it's like, if I can get 30 frames on my Steam Deck, why am I buying this console? Why? For what? I should be at 120 frames at this point. Why am I can't even see 60?
Wow. Yeah. Can't even see 60. Why am I getting this console?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just put something in my hands. It does 30, right? My laptop does 30. Like, I'll be fine if this is where we're headed. I don't need to shell out another $700, $500, $600 for something that's just going to sit there and, like Tim said, play movies. For what? My smart TV has a better entertainment hub than most of these consoles now. Like it's getting to that point of like, oh man, I don't know how many more installments of games in general that's going to be like, I gotta go run and buy it. And if the whispers of what Microsoft was looking to do, right, where it's like they kind of start introducing the stream only market, for these games where there is no more physical copies or digital copies, you kind of just essentially Game Pass everything. It's like, I think I might be good at that point.
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
I think I might be good. I have to Netflix my game. No, thank you.
My game. I paid for.
Yeah, my game.
No.
Right? I get to stream my game. I get the cloud version of my game. No. I don't know about all that.
And you saw what happened to Google Stadia, but you guys somehow thought you were invincible. Insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome.
That was Google. We're Microsoft. Okay.
It wasn't. And because you're Microsoft, you should be very cautious. You're gonna get people from the 90s resurrecting. Yeah, I remember Windows 97.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think, to kind of just close out the Dragon's Dogma discussion again, and Tim, if you have any outside points as well, I think what it is we are starting to see where I think we're going to start to see more of the directors of these games starting to relent a little bit more in the future to the fan base, right? Like, I think even though there's maybe 0.5% of it happening, I think it's amusing, right, that Harada asked, why does everybody want a Waffle House stage? Right? There was a time and place where that wouldn't even be a conversation. Tekken is not getting a Waffle House stage. Why are you even asking? Right? Or him even addressing that there's been such a demand for Tifa in Tekken. I think we're starting to see that blend over of, like, to your point, Jory, I doubt in Dragon's Dogma 3 that you will not be able to swim. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we have kind of reached this point of, like, games are now on, like, this live or die at the reception of the fan base. And some of these things, although they might seem minor, quote unquote, in the grander scheme of things, are going to change. I would be surprised if whatever the third Final Fantasy VII remake does not allow Cloud to just be hopping from clip point to clip point, because it just didn't make sense. I'm in this game where I'm like, again, I'm fighting these creatures, I'm fighting these superhumans, I'm fighting Sephiroth, and I'm leaping from falling building to fallen building, and I can't climb up this cliffside. What? Tifa, who as far as I know has no powers, is able to punch something with the strength of Tsunade, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't move this boulder on my own. What? I think
you need Chris Redfield, man.
I think there's this. There's gonna come a time where, like, companies are gonna have a harder time ignoring what seems logical in the eyes of fans. Of, like, I need some consistency here.
Chris Redfield before the remake.
No, they gotta have a bold scene, man. Boy, they gotta have a bold scene. They gotta have a bold scene.
Gotta keep that.
I play 5 just for that. I play 5 just for that, man.
So for our last topic of the night, again, there's been so much happening, but I feel like, especially with the fans that we are, it would be an injustice not to have a conversation about the passing of Akira Toriyama. For those who are listening or watching and have somehow managed to be under a rock for the past 40 years, Akira Toriyama is the creator of Dragon Ball. If you ever heard of Dragon Ball, if you ever seen a character named Goku, he is the creator of that series. It is one of the most influential Japanese manga and shonen series of all time. All your favorites have probably pulled inspiration and admitted to pulling inspiration from that series. The creator has passed away. Unfortunately, granted, he did live a long life, but with things like that, you hope for the best, right? You hope to let them see 90, right? And I think it is a reality of, if you want to see what aging looks like, right? You want to see what aging looks like. You grow up to see some of your heroes get older and pass away. Right? Of like, I knew as a kid, I'm like, I know I'm getting old once someone like Akira Toriyama passes away, right? Because he was such a staple of my childhood, and now old age has come for him, like it comes for all of us. So with that being said, guys, in terms of we'll start off with just a reflection of like, I mean, I'll go just kind of give an example in terms of like what Dragon Ball was for me. A lot of my friendships were sparked from Dragon Ball. Like I'm talking about from the playground, right? Of having conversations of first time seeing the Saiyan saga and watching Goku and Piccolo fight Raditz. And it's like, yo, have you seen this cartoon of this person fighting beams out their hand and they're flying and and Gohan, oh my gosh, right? And it's just something that opened the door to so many more friendships as I got older. Middle school, high school, college. One of Tim's and I first conversation was about anime, right? And all of it, even though it wasn't about Dragon Ball specifically, it's like all of that stems from that show, right? It's the cartoon that you would just throw on in the background and still be entertained. I still found ways to be entertained by certain fights from the lens of me being older, right? That spoke to how good the choreography was at that time. It's just muscular men with spiky hair punching each other and punching aliens, right? At its core. And it's managed to invoke the Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li era that we kind of grew up in, of just like technique, right? And even though it's kind of taking a diversion and a turn, it's just like I can't even imagine that this podcast will have assembled in this way if it wasn't for something like Dragon Ball kind of being at the centerpiece, right, of our anime discussions. They call it like the gateway anime for a reason. I don't get into Naruto, Dragon Ball doesn't exist. I don't get into One Piece or Bleach or Dragon Ball doesn't exist. So to kind of see what feels like the end of an era, because as we'll probably speak about shortly, I don't know how the series continues without his input. Right? It's I'm glad to again be one of the blessed children of the '90s who got to experience peak, for most of my life. So that's my two cents. What about you guys?
You know, God rest his soul. I do feel, due to the passing, that Dragon Ball is going to come to an end. I do believe so I do believe that era of, to go back to our big three conversation, this is really going to be the catalyst for its conclusion. Because they've been saying Bleach is going to round up things sooner or later.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anime wise.
Mm-hmm.
They've been talking about, hey, One Piece is getting close. They saying One
Mm-hmm.
Piece is getting close. So it is, we have come to the point of age where, it's the end of the era, because, there's certain things that just have to pass on. Dragon Ball has really sparked the creativity for numerous of people, but then, it is time for certain things to be laid to rest. And, for new things to take its place. I wouldn't say take its place, to new things to occupy for a new generation,
Mm-hmm.
I've had very fond memories of, playing Budokai for hours and hours, and even just of like, experiencing Fighter Z. And I remember when I was halfway through Dragon Ball, I think I was in the Cell Saga, and I remember like, oh, they're like, no, there was a show before Dragon Ball Z. It was Dragon Ball where Goku was a kid. Because, you saw the cutscenes like, oh, Piccolo's father and all that other stuff. So, when they brought that on to Donnie, I was like, all right, it's time for me to learn the full story.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, that even enlarged my mind. It's like, wow, bro, Dragon Ball was really about technique.
Mm-hmm.
It was about technique, and it had so much. You saw the Red Ribbon Army story, so now you understand. Well, I can't even say Dr. Gero, because it wasn't until a certain point that you understand Dr. Gero a little bit more.
Right.
But it sparked so many theories. Like, I remember, when Android 17 and 18 came out, I was like, why is he so upset about 16? Oh, you find out that is a model of his son.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, that makes so much sense. Android 13, and even what Jory told me, Android 13 was him when he was younger. Android 21 is his wife. 16 is his son.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, bro, that makes so much sense. Even just like, watching the superhero movie, when Piccolo, sat in his father's chair, I was like, wow, bro, this chair is really this chair is
It has
really like
meaning. Yeah.
it has so much meaning, bro, and it's just like, wow. So yeah, man, and we've been talking about like, the state of super and then even the chaos of heroes, but then, I do feel, yeah, this is it.
Mm,
This is it. This is about to be, the catalyst to the rollout to just end things. And I
mm,
don't see that as a bad thing. I really
mm-hmm.
do feel like, because the show has really shown, bro, it's overstayed its welcome. They've rehashed so many ideas to the point that they don't know what else to do anymore. They don't.
Mm,
They're they're starting to experiment. Like you can see the Star Wars formula from the third trilogy. It's just rehashing, remixing this concept for this, and it's not working.
right.
It's not working. Yeah, it's there for toys and what if propaganda stories, but it's not really working. It's not sticking. Because like I said, the magic, it served its time. It really did. And and I do feel like he did us such a great service. People we will always remember his. He will always go down in history for his greatness. But it's time to move on.
Mm, that was good. Troy, what's
Oh
your
man,
experience with
Dragon Ball
Dragon Ball?
Z, man, Dragon Ball Z was, as a kid, you'd watch cartoons, you enjoyed it, but you always knew that there was something missing about it. There's just something wasn't fulfilling about it. I'd watch Superman, watch Batman, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I loved it. You got your cartoons, but then there was something about waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning, just because I'm up. So I turn on the television and I see this world that I'm just instantly vexed by. I'm like, well, what is this? You see the dude, because my first episode of watching Dragon Ball Z was Yamcha as a baseball player, and so he had hit the home run, and to me, I was in tears laughing. I understood what was going on, but I didn't understand what was going on. So I understood who Yamcha was. I could make the differentiation. So I guess he hit the home run, and they wound up fighting, right? So long story short, I missed a Sunday. I missed another Sunday. I go back, I watch it. Then I see basically the Raditz saga, and
Mm,
now from then on, it was a wrap. It was instinctual because it was like this is exactly for me. This is
mm,
exactly that cartoon I was looking for. The cartoon expressing the power, the speed, the veracity, the energy, the techniques, everything I loved about everything that I didn't even know I was born with that I'd like was there in that anime. So a Dragon Ball Z just spoke to me more than any other cartoon, and it made me. Now I realized I said, okay, I don't think I like the way we do cartoons over here.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And from then on, everything else was just, it opened the door for everything else anime, everything else in that style. It got to the point I could tell without even having the actual verbiage for it. Cause I was like 5 when I saw that episode. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Without actually having the verbiage for it, I knew. I said, no, I don't like this cartoon. I like this cartoon. Sailor Moon helped. And it allowed me to keep watching this style over and over again. Pokemon, when that dropped,
mm,
it further stayed the door. Digimon dropped, and I realized, I said, you know what? This is the media this is the media, or the origin of this media. This is
mm,
the place where I indwell. This is the place where I'm gonna enjoy the cartoons, things that I've never seen before.
right.
Snake Way. That right there was, I can feel the struggle and the anxiety. It's like, is Goku gonna ever make it? I don't know. But for me as a kid, man, that was everything. It got to the point to where just to get out of fights or to get out of fights, I would draw a Dragon Ball Z picture for credit. People would look at me and you instantaneously made a friend. That, like, back to your point, you would make friends and life friends for life. Friends that you, hey man, what's going on? Because of Dragon Ball Z, man. And it just opened the door for everything else. There would be no Naruto. There would be no One Piece. There would not even be a lot of things. And then for me, though Dragon Ball Z was an event, man. We'd be outside playing. We finished our homework. We play. It's 5 o'clock hits.
I gotta go.
I got to go. I'm outie, man. And I made it to that television before my siblings did. And whoever got the remote first, you had to watch what they watching. So I'm watching Dragon Ball Z, man, on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Who is this mysterious person? Does Vegeta know him? He is also a Saiyan as well. There's another. These things were mind shattering, man. Goku turned in Super Saiyan for the first time, because you would watch it and say, "Oh, who's that man that turned gold in the intro?" And then I get my cousin.
You're right.
I get the cousin who looked at me and said, "You're not ready." I said, "What you talking about?" It's that's Super Saiyan Goku. Super Saiyan Goku. Well, go ahead, too.
I remember when I first heard about manga. Like I remember one of my cousins. He's like, "Oh yeah, Yamcha and Bulma don't end up together. She ends up with Vegeta." I was like, "Bro, stop lying. Like, how do you know this stuff?" And then he's like, "Bro, yeah, I read the manga, bro. Like this, we're way past this stuff." And that just opened up my mind to a whole nother world. Like, wait, you mean to tell me I should know what already should happen before it happens?
Yeah.
I was creating my own Dragon Ball Z characters. I was drawing. It made me draw even more and it made me realize this is what I want to do with my life. I said I want to make a cartoon. I want to make anime. That's my dream. That's my goal. And it was at a very young age that I realized this is what I wanted to do with my life. I said I want to make a cartoon. I would buy the tapes. I remember when Gotenks was they just released the Buu Saga and the Gotenks tapes came out, the VHS tapes, and I would just look at the tape covering and I would just draw, just test my skills and just draw Super Saiyan Gotenks. Gotenks was like my favorite character out of nowhere, out of all, that just became my favorite character. And for me, the world of Dragon Ball Z was it was so fascinating, man. Snake Way, you had the Kais, you had the sagas, man. Everything drew you closer and closer into the series. And for me, Dragon Ball Z formed me, man. Without Dragon Ball Z, I wouldn't have made certain characters.
Right.
I wouldn't have known what to do. Dragon Ball Z made me realize that I enjoy their slice of life episodes more than I thought I did. And it made me realize that I don't actually like, it made me realize that I don't like a lot of games that are very dull, like your Dark Souls. I can't play Dark Souls for more than an hour. I'd give it up because it just doesn't draw me. Whereas I watch Dragon Ball Z and everything is just so colorful.
Yep.
Everything's just so colorful. Even the villains, like to me, this is how I want my style to reflect. This is the type of world I want to build. A place that you actually want to go to. And so for me, man, Toriyama, man, he birthed an animal, man, because now I'm confident enough to be able to release certain things, that I've been sitting on for years, all due to personal things in my life, but now I feel more ready than ever. And it's just a tragedy that I don't get to see his hand back in, because his hand created another one of my favorite characters of all time. And that was his original design, Hit. So I was interested in seeing his interpretation of certain characters again. Man, how is he gonna do cooler? Look at Broly. Look at what he did with Broly. That's the tragedy. Man, if he were to do, Fusion Reborn, how would he do Janemba again? We don't know. Toyotaro, He's not Toriyama.
He's not. So the thing, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think that does help progress the conversation a little bit. I think Toyotaro, like as time has gone on, I can see why Toriyama chose Toyotaro as his successor in that way, because I think Toyotaro does a good job of filling in the obnoxious things that Toriyama forgot, right? Of like, hey, why don't we make Akai the villain? Right? We have these deities that have been ruling over these realms and these dimensions, but we keep introducing these Earth villains. We keep introducing these revenge on Goku plots or ancient beasts like Boo. What happens if you have a bad Kai? Right? What happens if we have this ancient magical Billy Goat who, instead of getting powerful out the gate, he actually takes powers away? Right? Like, okay, I mean, yeah, you can go Super Saiyan God, but what if I take that power away? Now what do you do? What if I can control the essence of the planet? I think Toyotaro is a fan in a way that helps flesh out what's already there. I am a little nervous about how he might decide to innovate. That's where I'm like, I think to your point, Jory, I think that's why I think Toriyama's hand and guidance will be missed, because Toriyama was always like, even if he's gotten, in his age, right, and even at his age, he was still firing at a high clip, right? It's like, even I think he still did a good job of putting that canvas there, right, for Toyotaro to paint. And I don't know how that continues to happen without him laying that canvas there, right? Of like,
I mean,
how you feel about his, how I feel about Beerus. I'm like, Beerus was such a great idea.
Yeah.
Such a great idea.
And he fits so well.
How do we have a villain that Goku can't beat at this point? He's Super Saiyan 3. He blew away Boo. He can do the Spirit Bomb. He can do fusion. Oh, he'll just fight a god, and he can't beat him. It doesn't matter. Oh, a new transformation. When they transform again, no, he loses. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's just what it is. There's just a different hierarchy.
Yeah. It was, and then not to mention, we don't even know what Whis is. We know what he is, but
yeah,
jeez, like we're never. Not to mention, then you have Zeno playing marble with galaxies. So now we understand the scope of everything. But just to see that world, I'm actually now, I wasn't excited for Daima, but the reason why I hate Daima is because it has some of that.
It has that lazy
spark.
Toriyama. Yeah, it has that lazy Toriyama feel a little bit, right? Of like, we know he did the character design or some of the initial character designs for GT, and then kind of took his hands off. And even though they're like, oh, this is the most that Toriyama's been involved in years, I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't feel that way. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel that way. This feels like if Toriyama really got a chance to do GT, this is what he would have done, right? Which seems to be a little interesting. But other than that, I'm just like, but we got GT and we did not like it.
We did not like it because we like Goku doesn't need to be a kid for us to enjoy an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
The slice of life moments that they had in Dragon Ball Z Broly were actually phenomenal. And I thought he was a great director. The guy who did the Wano arc, that team, and that artist, he's a special talent, man.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, man, it formed me, man. It made me. Transformations, if I like it or not, are nothing without Dragon Ball Z. Everybody had it until Dragon Ball Z did something that was just different, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hit different. They took certain things from Fist of the North Star, the Aura Energy Blast, and expanded upon it. They went haywire with it. Hit's power is, when you look at it, man, this is a Dragon Ball Z character. Like, that's not comforting, because it's like he's lethal, and then things like that. I just wanted to see Toriyama slowly getting back to his creation, and I felt like he was finding a spark in him again, to do that.
I agree. That's what I said. Like, I think Toyotaro helped in that way, right? Because I think again, we don't know the conversations they were having at this point, right? We only know the little things that Toyotaro has shared, but it's just like, I don't even think that we get Red Ribbon Pharmaceutical without that mixture of like Toriyama laying the canvas and Toyotaro filling it. Of like, oh, what happens to the Red Ribbon Army? What would they be doing right now? Well, I mean, they almost achieved world domination. They weren't, slapstick villains of the week. They were a very resourceful private military company. What would they be doing in this modern day and age? Pharmaceutical, right? "Quote unquote" pharmaceutical. It's just things like that. Like, it was amazing to kind of see how, as we got older, there was just more layers to pull back. Like Tim said earlier about these characters. So, like, the more you deep dive, the more there was there, right? Especially in us being raised in the '90s, where a lot of the monumental things of our era were being established. Dragon Ball was like our kid version of it, right? When the Three Ninjas was all the craze, Karate Kid was all the craze. Here you have Gohan training with Piccolo, right? Doing, he's about our age, 6, 7 years old, doing all types of martial arts and blasts and keeping up with the adults. Then you get to Future Trunks, which is already crazy. You already seen Goku go Super Saiyan and fight Frieza. Here comes the son of Vegeta and Bulma from the future, who cuts up Frieza in 5 minutes to save the future because it's the Terminator, right? It's the Terminator movie for kids. What happens if you have a villain who has all of your favorite characters' moves? Well, here goes Cell, and he is Alien, the character Alien, basically, of just murder and mayhem. Like, there's just certain things where I'm like, as you get older, you're just like, wow, like, this simple quote unquote series had just so many things that I can continue to appreciate as I got older. Like you guys said, the relationships built, the water cooler quote unquote feeling as kids of like, yo, did you just see Gohan turn Super Saiyan 2? Did you see what we did to the Cell Juniors? You know what I'm saying? Just think
right after that Capri Sun commercial where they turn into that blob and you go to the fridge to grab yourself a Capri Sun. Mm-hmm. Boy, yeah, that thing was serious.
Come back, Gohan's kicking off necks, and like just it was a moment. And I'm with you guys. I think, I thought there would be a little bit more back and forth, but I think we're all kind of on the same page. Like, I don't know that Dragon Ball continues in the way that it does now that Toriyama's gone. I don't see how it's possible.
Just through games.
To be honest, bro, Dogma, like, that was just it for me. That was Daima. It. Yeah, that was it. That was it for me. It's like, bro, we're going back to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the state of the other properties, like, remember when we said, like, it expands over things, like, look what happened, I still feel like, Fighter Z still has room for improvement. There was another patch that was released, so hopefully, that fixes the issues with the robot, but it's just that now, the other properties were back to this microtransaction visual games.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just the main property is just going, it's still just rinse and repeat in past storylines. It's like, bro, we've seen this already. Like, no offense, but Dragon Ball was Dragon Ball for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And taking the Goku back to a child is just, it's not working. Like, even, reading certain elements of the Dragon Super manga where, it's after superpower, they're all trained, Gohan, Goku, and Vegeta, they're all training together on Barris's planet, understanding Gohan's powers more. It's just like, bro, like, all you had to do is just wait. Just wait.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't want to see this. I really don't. I really don't. Like, because I feel like this is very dumb. This is very dumb to me. I feel like this is a very much of a waste. And I kind of feel like nobody's really learning from what happened with Star Wars when they did that last trilogy. It's just like, bro, this is literally the same story from the original trilogy. It's just remixed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that we're doing. It's just remixes of stuff that we've already seen. Like, me and my best friend, we debate all the time. I tell her, like, Resurrection F was a missed opportunity for Cooler. Because, and, she kind of saw what I meant after watching the Broly movie. I was like, yes, think about it. Frieza has been dead for this long. And the way they made it seem like in the anime, they made it seem like Vegeta basically depleted Frieza's army.
Mm-hmm.
Who kept this empire together, or this business of space pirates together? The outcast of the family,
right?
Cooler, because they made it seem like from the Cooler movie, they made it seem like he wasn't the favorite child, so he was just always on his own with his crew, doing the business, but not a part of the main family. It's just, and then, but when we got like a Broly story, it's like, bro, it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense and it flowed so well. And I feel like, they brought Frieza back and then they just don't know what to really do with this guy.
Yeah.
They don't. They
Yeah.
don't know what to do with this guy. And I
Air
felt like it
Force
would have,
Frieza.
and I felt like it would have been much, it would have had much better like dialogue because Cooler was a different person. The reason, people say he got the name Cooler is, because he's Frieza's brother, but he does everything better.
Mm-hmm.
He's smarter because remember, we've also realized Frieza is technically a child in his aliens race. He's technically a child.
Mm-hmm.
Cooler is probably a much older character, like, probably the same age as Goku and Vegeta in their years. So like he's much more mature. He thinks things better. Like he's lethal. Like, bro, look at the movies. Like he almost killed them twice.
Mm-hmm.
Twice. Because he had such intellect. Like he wasn't a person that you could just really outsmart in a typical way. You
Right.
know, he didn't underestimate his enemies, so he was very lethal in his style. But and then there even with Super, there was just it's suffering from the GT formula. There's a lot of hit and miss. Like I enjoyed the Goku block. I say I like the logistics of Goku block, but I kind of felt like this focus on Goku again. Like if you brought back Trunks, why wasn't the Kai take over a body of future Gohan?
Right.
So it's like that would have made much more. But then, like I
Way
said,
more sense.
they
Mm-hmm.
keep just there's just this obsession with Goku that is just it's just not working. And then next thing you know, Goku just doing Susanoo, and I was like, I when I saw that, I was like, bro, I had it.
Yeah, I did
I
not
don't
feel
want
the
no more.
moral arc, man, and the
Yeah.
granola arc at that.
I
I was
like the
like,
Moro arc up until the end. I do. I think in terms of what I've always wanted from modern Dragon Ball, it checks maybe 8 out of 10 boxes. I wanted a reason for the human characters to get involved again during the last fight.
yes,
I wanted techniques that play a point again. Granted, it's not what defeats Moro, but Vegeta having to learn a skill to fight Moro, I appreciate it more than he just gets angrier. Like there's a lot of things in Moro arc. I'm like, had they not gone the Susanoo route, I think it would have been received a lot better. A lot better. But like you said, Tim, is like they got to, well, it's Goku time, and now let's throw logic out the window again and undo everything that we just built for the past 6 months.
Now Goku's bizarre adventure takes place.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
I don't see, and like you said, Tim, I think it's, well, to both of your points, Jory. Like I think Jory's point about like, yes, it would have been nice to see Toriyama's version of some of these iconic villains that we come to appreciate, right? Like we didn't think he could save Broly, especially after 3 movies of basically the same thing from the original run, and now this is arguably the best Broly we've ever had, 4 movies deep, you know. And this is from a guy who was writing Broly in his 70s, right? So it's again the pistol is still there with the pen at times,
jeez, man.
so it's unfortunate that we're not really going to get to see his vision for some of these iconic characters, but the reality of it is,
I mean,
40
look at
years.
Hit.
Yeah, but I'm like, look, 40 years of a series is more than enough.
Yeah,
40 years. Dragon Ball's been around for 40 years. Like it kind of seeing its sayonara, especially with the unannounced successor through One Piece, right? I think we've had our era of Dragon Ball. It's okay for it to come to an end. There will always be, there will always be that nostalgia aspect. It will always still appeal. I'm sure our kids will appreciate it as much as we did growing up. But I think, with Toriyama's passing, I would be okay with this being it. No more transformations, no more let's push this forward and have Toyotaro like lead Dragon Ball into the next 40 years. Like I think we're okay with this. This is an okay, we've gotten more than what we even expected from this franchise in our lifetimes. So that's my closing thoughts on that. And I'll let you guys have anything else.
it's pretty much. I mean, I hate how it's going to end,
Yeah.
but that's the only thing. But if it's gonna end now, then I guess now's the time then now's a better time than ever. So
I mean, it's not too much different than how it ended when we were kids. Technically, Dragon Ball GT was the ending, right? And now, ironically, here we are in our 30s, and we're right back to a Dragon Ball GT-esque story. Like history repeats itself. Yeah.
Boy.
So it's again 40 years. It was a good time. Like we had to run. We had to run. It opened the door to all types of things that we couldn't have expected. So I think, I think that's down on that, right? There's not much else to rehash on it. I think we had a really good childhood media wise, and I think Dragon Ball was a hefty part of that. I think it was something that will live on and continue to influence people for years to come. He's the Michael Jackson of manga in that aspect, and Dragon Ball's Thriller. So,
I mean, we'll see. We'll definitely see in the coming.
Yeah. We'll be potting about it. All right. Well, on that note, fellas, that is our last topic for the night. I'm glad that we were able to reconvene and converge for the pod. It's been a while. We had to check off the rust. I'm sitting there like, I don't even set up my laptop again. I forgot. So I'm glad that we were able to kind of come back together and make this happen and kind of get back to what we were doing. And so once again, for people who have been tuned into us, who hopefully have been patient up until this point, I know momentum is a thing, but we are back. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. This has been another episode of DaGamer Podcast. Once again, I am Antonius DaGamer. It's Mikkel Smith, Super SS Rank, and we will see y'all next time.